With the season having wrapped up and the playoffs ongoing right now, I want to say first off, congratulations to Victor Wembanyama for winning the NBA's Rookie of the Year. To nobody's surprise, after having a historical and probably one of the best rookie seasons we've ever seen. This year's rookie class has been an outstanding one, to say the least. We've got several, I'd say, all-star talents, or at least all-star potential talents. I think this is one of the best defensive classes that we've seen either a long time or it's going to be up there. I just want to give a quick rookie recap of all the players that we've seen debut in the NBA this year, along with not only just the guys who everyone talks about and everyone knows about, but I want to shed some light on some of the guys who are maybe less known commodities, who might be rotting away on these poor teams, but have shown quite a bit of potential. And some guys that I have my own thoughts about. So I want to show you guys a little bit more insight into these guys. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of By the Rim. I'm your host, Collin, and like always, I love basketball and I want to share my thoughts and my perspectives with you guys. This is a video that I've been excited to make for a while because I don't know why, but I really enjoy things like the NBA draft, rookies. I'm not really sure why. If I had to guess, it's probably just the idea of new beginnings, or everyone likes to see the hottest new thing. Maybe that's why. Even regardless, I still enjoy it, and I'm excited to share this with you. To start us off, I'm going to get the big hitters out of the way. First off, we have Victor Wembanyama, the unanimous Rookie of the Year this year. Victor's been absolutely outstanding this year, averaging 21.4 points per game, 10.6 rebounds a game, 3.9 assists a game, 1.2 steals, and leading the entire NBA in blocks with 3.6 blocks per game. Now, I'm just going to say this straight up. Victor has exceeded the expectations that I set at the beginning of the year. And I thought I set them pretty high. I made a prediction before the season, or I think like after the draft, saying that I thought he was going to average just barely 20 points a game, like 8 or 9 rebounds, 2 assists, like 2 blocks on some really bad shooting. Like I think I said like 42% from the field, like 28% from 3 and 80% from the free throw line. But like he just completely exceeded that in every way imaginable. He scored more points, he rebounded better, he passed better. He led the NBA in blocks as a rookie and was just the runner-up for Defensive Player of the Year by a lot closer of a margin than I thought it would be. Again, don't want to go too in detail because I am going to make a video soon about the next generation of superstars. Victor Wembanyama, you know what happened this year. He was excellent in every way possible. I believe he's going to be the greatest basketball player of all time, and I don't think that's a stretch to say. Next guy on the list and the runner-up for Rookie of the Year is my favorite redshirt rookie, Chet Holmgren. Dude was absolutely outstanding this season, starting off as the resident efficiency merchant for the OKC Thunder. He kind of tailed off a little bit in terms of efficiency, but there was a good stretch of the season where he was legitimately a 50, 40, 90 guy almost as a rookie, as a big man. On the season, he averaged 16.5 points, 7.9 rebounds, 2.4 assists, 0.6 steals, and 2.3 blocks. And keep in mind, he was second in the NBA in blocks, and I think in total and in blocks per game. So we had 2 rookies leading the NBA in blocks this season. I don't know if that's ever been done. It's a ridiculously impressive feat regardless of anything else. Chet had a very strong case for Rookie of the Year to start the year off. He pretty much filled in every gap of need that the OKC Thunder had. They struggled with rebounding last year, and while Chet's not the best rebounder even at the center position, he supplemented a lot of those boards that they weren't getting. He was the rim protector that they needed, and he was outstanding at that. He has got some of the best defensive instincts in the NBA. I'd say even better than Victor Wembanyama, Evan Mobley, who those 3 are some of the best defensive prospects we've seen, at least since Anthony Davis, and I believe Chet Holmgren. Even though he's not going to be as dominant statistically as Victor Wembanyama, he's got the best IQ, the best feel, the best instincts for a rim protector that I've seen, on top of being a very dynamic offensive player. Third here, we got Brandon Miller, who was this year's number 2 pick, or I should say this last rookie class's number 2 pick out of Alabama. Brandon Miller has been amazing this year. We got a really good top 3 from this rookie class. I won't say draft because Chet was technically from last draft, but this top 3 has been excellent. They've pretty much outshined all expectations for all 3 of them. Brandon Miller, I honestly thought was going to be someone who would struggle a lot this year because One of the things that he really struggled with in college was the physicality, getting to the rim. I didn't even get to the rim, but finishing at the rim. He was pretty turnover prone, and he was very jump shot heavy, and I thought his shot was very suspect because he shot pretty much a laser beam coming out of Alabama. But thankfully, he has completely dispelled all concerns that I may have had for him, and he exceeded all expectations. On the season, he averaged 17.3 points, 4.3 rebounds, 2.4 assists, just under a steal, and 0.6 blocks. Shot pretty well from the floor, 44%, that's all right, 37% from three, and about 83% from the free throw line. Brandon Miller has shown pretty much everything you could possibly want from not just a number 2 pick, but a scoring wing who you want to be a main staple of your franchise. He showed his great scoring repertoire. He showed that he's got great ability as a potential playmaker. I think one thing that I noticed when watching him was that he can see the floor and he can see things develop and he can see the reads that need to be made, but he doesn't right now have the ability to make those passes and like deliver on those reads, if that makes any sense. Hornets fans, you got a corner of your franchise and you should be very happy with that. Now, the first rookie that I really want to take a deep dive into is Brandin Podziemski, the number 19 pick to the Golden State Warriors from Santa Clara, who, by the way, has produced back-to-back really good players around the mid-first round, and Jalen Williams and now Brandin Podziemski. He had an excellent rookie year, and I think he kind of flew under the radar for the average casual fan, but he's really someone to be looking out for because I think there's a lot more upside to him than what people think he might have. He averaged 9.2 points a game, 5.8 rebounds, 3.7 assists, just under a steal, 0.2 blocks. Shot really well from all over the floor. He's just kind of been really solid in so many different ways, and he fits perfectly into that Golden State Warriors, both offense and defense. One thing about Brandin Podziemski that I really like is that he's got some of the best IQ and activity in this entire class. One thing that's been kind of I don't want to say a struggle, but one of the reasons that guys like Moses Moody and James Wiseman, and to somewhat of a degree Jonathan Kuminga, weren't really working out to start off was because they didn't have the necessary feel and IQ to know how to play within this kind of system, and especially for James Wiseman, he just couldn't put anything together, and they ended up shipping him out for it. Luckily for Jonathan Kuminga, his skill set and his athleticism and all that stuff has just been so excellent that they can't not play him, if that makes any sense. But Brandin Podziemski came in immediately as not even a lottery pick, and he's been a difference maker because he's an amazing rebound. He averaged 10 rebounds a game almost as a 6'5" guard in the WCC, where he won co-player of the year or co-MVP or whatever it's called in the WCC, which is a pretty competitive mid-major conference. He came in as a guy who's labeled as not very athletic. He's not super quick. He's not bursty. He does have a solid vertical, which I'll say, which helps him get boards, but he immediately came in and was able to make a difference by rebounding, top of being a very smart connective passer, and he's also a great shooter. He shot almost 39% from three, I believe, on solid volume for being a low volume scorer, if that makes any sense. So I think he was putting up like maybe 4 or 5 a game, hitting like 2 of them maybe. I think he's going to be a guy who can fit into what the Warriors want to continue with as Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, who are already starting to age out of the league. As they, kind of wither away and retire, Brandin Podziemski is going to be one of the guys who is going to be a staple of this franchise. I don't think he's going to be the guy, but I honestly think that he could be someone who can make an all-star team because this team is going to be so good, and he's going to kind of be the Draymond for this team, if that makes any sense. The next guy I want to talk about is Dereck Lively II from the Dallas Mavericks, the number 12 pick out of Duke. I think he got really lucky. I don't want to say lucky, but he had a great intro to the casual audience who was watching the debut of Victor Wembanyama, who was playing against the Mavericks, and because Wemby was in foul trouble, Dereck Lively got to display his game pretty much as perfectly as he could have gotten for his rookie debut. In his debut game, he had 16 points and 10 rebounds, along with a block, and the Mavericks got a win over the San Antonio Spurs. And I think the most highly viewed rookie debut in like the modern era or since LeBron or something crazy like that. And Lively was the one who stole the show. This year, he averaged 8.8 points, 6.9 rebounds, 1.1 assists, and 1.4 blocks. He led the NBA in field goal percentage with 74.7%. I don't think he qualified because he only played 55 games, but he technically led the league in field goal percentage. I'm so happy he got drafted to the Mavericks because that is the perfect situation for him, and the best one he could have possibly asked for, because he's got 2 of the greatest playmakers in NBA history. I'm going to just say it like that. Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic. They set him up perfectly, and he supplemented a need that the Mavericks had for this season because last year they really struggled with an interior presence. Dwight Powell was not cutting it. Maxi Kleber is not really an interior guy, but I think honestly Lively completely completely changed the trajectory of the Mavericks season completely. He filled the need as a lob threat, as a rim protector. He can guard in space and just kind of be a big body, which is something they really needed because, again, Dwight Powell was just not cutting it. Now that they have the additions of Daniel Gafford and PJ Washington, Lively can play a lot more freely and more aggressive, both offensively and defensively. Because before, as usual, rookie big men, it's hard to know how to not foul while also being an effective rim protector and just like a paint presence. And now that they have Gafford who can supplement those minutes and kind of do the same thing, it allows Dereck Lively to play more free, like I said. Right now, we're in the middle of the playoffs, and I wonder how that matchup against Chet's going to go, because if Lively can be more aggressive defensively, that could really give the Thunder a lot of problems. But, again, Lively just completely changed the trajectory of the Mavericks season, and for that, I think he should definitely be first-team All-Rookie this year, and that kind of impact can never be understated. Has potential to make some All-Star games down the line if he can at least improve his numbers statistically. Like if he can be maybe 15, 16 points a game, 11 rebounds, maybe 2 blocks, and continue to lead the league in field goal percentage, on top of the fact that he might be able to shoot threes. He's got nice looking form, but right now the free throw percentage isn't good. He isn't shooting many threes. I think he hit a couple maybe this year. Don't quote me on that. I didn't look at it, but Tyson Chandler was an all-star and probably the best center the Mavericks have ever had. And so they're very similar players, and I think he can probably make an all-star team playing that same role. Next, I'm going to lump 2 players together because no matter what, they're always going to be paired together, and that's going to be the Thompson Twins, Amen and Ausar Thompson. It's kind of funny because it felt like they had the same season, but they just flipped, if that makes sense. Ausar started off ridiculously hot, and then whatever Monty Williams was, I don't know what the hell he was thinking, but it just flipped. As soon as he started playing not as good, Amen Thompson was playing amazing, and he's also got a strong argument to be first-team All-Rookie. They both put up fairly similar stats. They both averaged about 9 points a game, 6 rebounds and 2 assists, about a steal and a block. I'll say to start the season, Ausar Thompson was 3rd in the NBA in blocks and also top 5 in rebounds. Not just total rebounds, but also rebounds a game. He started off averaging I think it was 10.5 rebounds for literally a month. No kidding. He was starting, he was playing good minutes, but between the two of them, their activity is ridiculous. I'd say Amen is more of a ball handler. He handles the ball more and he makes more plays, so essentially, once Fred VanVleet is gone or he's older or less impactful, Amen Thompson is going to be the point guard for the Houston Rockets. That's just incredible because this year he's playing pretty much out of position. They had him playing center half the time, especially when Şengün was out. Both of them, their ability to just impact the game even without playing to their strengths, which honestly I think they're both very capable and potentially amazing point guards, playmakers. It just makes stuff happen, and that's something that can't be understated. Ausar Thompson, horrible shooter, but his ability to get offensive rebounds, putbacks, he's a good finish. He's a great finisher. He can make heads up plays. He finds open guys on skip passes, driving kicks, dishes, or dish off, just all kinds of stuff like that. And then Amen Thompson is just a little bit better at all those things offensively, while Ausar is a disgusting defender. I think in their prime, the two of them can be first team all defense. And I don't even think they're going to be, there's probably 5, 6, maybe even 7 guys in this draft class who can legitimately be first team all defense caliber players. But I truly think that there's absolutely zero way that these guys don't have a 10-year career. Whether that's as all-stars, maybe even superstar potential, or just as supplementing role players. I think they can legitimately play 1 through 5. That's how incredible these two are. And they should be warranting your attention in every way possible. Next dude I want to talk about is Bilal Coulibaly of the Washington Wizards. He was the number 7 pick to the Pacers, but was traded to the Wizards. Played on the same team as Victor Wembanyama, coming out of France. I think he's got some of the best potential in this class, and let me tell you why. A lot like the Thompson Twins, he is a stocks king. He gets tons of steals, tons of blocks, deflections, even in limited time. On the season, he averaged 8.4 points a game, 4.1 rebounds, 1.7 assists, just under a steal, just under a block. And I know I was saying that he's a stocks king, but I don't know if you guys remember, but for the first month of the season, he was averaging almost 2 steals a game and like a block and a half. And he was getting it consistently. It wasn't like high fluctuations of 5 steals, blocks or something, and then like 0. It was consistently like 2, 2, 3, 2, 2, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3. You know what I mean? Something like that. On top of that, his offensive game, there's a lot to like. There's a lot of high potential in his offensive game. He got the label of a raw project player early in this in his draft cycle. I wouldn't say early, but once he really started trending to be a lottery pick, people were like, oh, he's a raw project guy, and those guys never pan out. But like, I remember watching him play, and then obviously watching him in Summer League, and it's like, this dude is way farther along than people think. He is not raw as people think, because when they say raw, it's usually super toolsy, long, athletic wing who has 0 feel and IQ, and those guys almost never work out. But the guys who do work out, like Giannis, actually, that's the only example I can think of. Guys like Giannis, they have that feel and IQ already. And Bilal Coulibaly has great feel for the game. He knows how to be a proactive playmaker. And that's something that really gives me indicators that I think he can also be a potential all-star from this class. I think it's more likely than not that he becomes an all-star. Like somewhere between, I know this is a big gap, the Kawhi Leonards and the Mikal Bridges. Somewhere in between there, I think is where Bilal Coulibaly will fall near his prime, or I should say in his prime, because he has good shooting form, he's got solid shooting ability. He only shot about 34.5% this year. Again, that's a rookie struggle. That's already pretty solid. He can create his own looks in the mid-range. One of the things that got a lot of scouts intrigued was when he was playing with the lower division with the Mets 92 last year in France. He was averaging like 27 or 23 points a game, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, obviously like 3 steals and 3 blocks, something absolutely like ridiculous, and shooting great from 3. Solid free throw shooter as well. So there's a lot of indicators that he can become a very good basketball player and legitimately star caliber. And like I said, another all defense caliber player because he's a stocks master. He's got great positional awareness, great hands, gets a lot of deflections as well. Even though he's kind of rotting away on this Wizards team behind both Kuzma and Deni Avdija, who also I think is somewhere where he can fall in the spectrum because he's also a very good player. Bilal Coulibaly is someone who I really think we should be watching out for in the future. He had a good rookie season. Don't think he's going to make an all-rookie team. If the all-rookie team could be more like 15 players, which I know is ridiculous. Usually there's not 15 great rookies. He would absolutely be one of those guys. The next rookie who definitely deserves your attention is Keyontae George, the 16th pick to the Utah Jazz. I don't want to say I'm conflicted, but I feel like I'm pretty neutral on Keyontae George. He was a really good rookie, even though he had a lot of scoring inefficiencies. He averaged 13 points a game, just under 3 rebounds, 4.4 assists, a half steal, and 0.1 block. Shot pretty poorly. Only shooting 39.1% from the field, 33.4% from 3. He shot fairly well from the free throw line, shooting 3 attempts, just under 85% from the free throw line. Keyontae George shows a lot as a combo scorer. They had him starting at point guard for a lot of this season, either with or in front of Collin Sexton even, who was even an all-star candidate a few years ago before his injury. But Keyontae George is kind of like the modern dilemma of the combo guard because he's very jumper heavy in his scoring diet, but he's also very score first. He's capable as a playmaker with a 4.5 assists pretty much, but it was hard for me to watch. That Utah Jazz team was boring, if I'm being honest. And so I don't have a lot of, I didn't get a lot of eyes on Keyontae this year. There's definitely potential for him to be like a consistent 20 point per game scorer in the NBA, but I don't know how high his actual ceiling is, all-star or anything like that. So I want to keep that one brief, but Keyontae George was good this year. Gonna make an all-rookie team, whether that's first team or second team, but definitely warrants your attention. Next guy up was Jaime Jaquez Jr. from UCLA. He was the 18th pick to Miami. He completely exceeded all expectations that he had this year. I didn't even know that he was going to be a top 20 pick come draft time because he's a junior coming out of college. He's not the most athletic player. He's not a great shooter. Again, he's not the most athletic, so he's got a hard time like guarding point of attack or even one-on-one. And so when I heard that he was a green room invite to come draft time, I was really shocked at that, honestly. And then this season, he was pretty much third place for Rookie of the Year all year until recently when Brandon Miller just kind of took the league by storm almost, and Jaquez kind of fell behind because Jimmy Butler came back and then he also was injured, much stuff, but he was really good this year. He's going to be first team all rookie most likely. I don't have a whole lot else to say about him because I didn't really have a whole lot of interest in watching the Heat. I know he fits Heat culture as well as all those other guys, and so he's going to be a really good player going forward. I think he's probably closer to his peak. You know, obviously most of these other guys, considering the way that he plays, But ultimately, I think he's going to stick in the league. He's going to be all rookie, obviously, this year. And so that's a good indicator of how far else he's going to go. Now, next up, I got the guy who's supposed to be the next up man in my city, and that's Scoot Henderson. This season was rough, and to start off, it was bad. It was really, really bad. Just straight up. Like, there's no dancing around that. I still have a lot of concerns about Scoot, honestly. His decision-making and his spatial awareness were two things that caught me off guard with how horrible they were to start. As the season went on, things improved. It was hard for me to watch a lot of games because of the blackouts, and I'm not going to pay for Root Sports. I hate that the NBA does that, honestly, but whatever network we have here in Oregon, Scoot showed a lot of things that are very encouraging, but he also showed a lot of things that are very, very concerning. And like I said, his court awareness was terrible, just straight up. Like, defensively, he would just be lost all the time, and he would look like he was lost. And there was a big lack of confidence as well, where like he would give the ball off to DeAndre Ayton of all people to dribble it up the court. And it's like, Scoot, you were the third pick, you were the point guard of this team. You are having the center bring it up. That was a huge concern that was being had at the beginning of the year. But as the year went on, he got a lot more confident. His shot started falling. He still was pretty awful statistically from an efficiency standpoint. On the year, he averaged 14 points a game, 3.1 rebounds, 5.4 assists, 3.4 turnovers a game, which, while concerning, he's a rookie guard. He's a rookie point guard, actually, so that's something that's going to happen. I'm pretty sure Luka averaged well over 3 turnovers a game his rookie year as well, so that's not the biggest deal, but the way that he was turning the ball over was very concerning. There was a lot of just bad communication passes, like just straight errant passes too. Bad accuracy, which is concerning. Sometimes you and your teammates aren't on the same page because you have to build that chemistry. That's fine, but when you just have terrible accuracy, that's concerning. His shot selection was pretty bad. His finishing at the rim was, I think he was in the bottom percentile in the league, which one thing to note about that is that he's getting to the rim pretty much at will. His rim pressure is amazing. Like, he just gets by people easily. When he gets there, he's trying to be physical and pretty much draw fouls and to the free throw line, where he was really good this year. They weren't calling it, so he was just kind of throwing stuff up, and that's concerning because he's not elevating like people thought he would. I think people swung too far in the opposite direction on the pendulum, where pre-draft people were saying he's a Westbrook, D Rose level athlete. In reality, he's not that. But now people are saying, oh, he's not that athlete at all. I don't know, but they've kind of swung too far where he's really just somewhere in the middle, and he's still a very high level athlete. Like, again, he's getting by people very easily. He's getting to the rim pretty much whenever he wants. He just needs to learn how to be a better finisher or a much stronger finisher or something, but he's got to change that up. The three-point shot we knew was going to be rough, but he was better than I expected. He shot over 30% this year. He's also a solid mid-range shooter. There's things to work with. There's a foundation for him to be something, but there's still a lot of concern that I have. And so I have Scoot as the last spot on my second team all-rookie, but I still think there's hope for him to be an all-star, but we'll have to see where that goes. Now I've pretty much covered all the guys who I think are going to be on the all-rookie teams. First team, Chet, Victor, Brandin, Pods, and Dereck Lively. Second team, Keyontae George, the Twins, Scoot Henderson, and Jaime Jaquez. Actually, I think Jaquez will probably slide up and take Lively's place or Pod's place. We'll see. It depends on the voting. But now I kind of want to get into rapid fire of other guys who I thought were either interesting or good, but not a whole lot else to say about them. So we'll get into that. First guy is Cason Wallace of the OKC Thunder. I'm a Thunder fan, so I got to see a lot of him this year. Dude he does everything that you need from this team. He fills in the gaps, even though he was drafted as a point guard. He was playing more of like small forward, power forward sometimes, and then shooting guard. Amazing from three. I think he was like 50, 40, 75 this year. So great from the floor, great from three. Great defender. I don't know if you guys watched that Pelican series, but he locked up CJ McCollum. He's going to be having nightmares about Cason Wallace well into the summer this year. Again, he was great, supplementing things that the Thunder needed and just being really solid all around. Next guy I got is Cam Whitmore, who was surprisingly one of the best scorers in this class, despite playing like towards the middle bottom of minutes. Like, I think he scored like just about as many points as he had minutes, which is ridiculous. Bro is everything that people think Michael Porter Jr. is at this point, where it's literally just run and gun. Bro never looking to pass. He's got more shot attempts than he has pass attempts, I think, this year. But Cam Whitmore, bona fide scorer from pretty much all three levels, on top of being a top 2% athlete in the league. He's got a lot of two-way potential as well, and so he's someone who could also make all-star games in the future. Another guy that I totally blanked on earlier, but G.G. Jackson of the Memphis Grizzlies. He's someone who's also got legitimate star potential. So, as a lot of you guys know, he was a reclass up. He was the #1 player in the 2023 high school class, but he reclassed up, decommitted from North Carolina, and then committed to South Carolina so that he could be the guy, take whatever shots he wanted, make whatever plays he wanted pretty much. But unfortunately, that season didn't go the way that he wanted to, and he ended up slipping to the second round from being a consensus lottery pick pretty much. He was one of the best scorers from this class. He averaged 14.6 points, 4.1 rebounds, 1.2 assists, about a half steal and a half block. Shot decently well, 42.8% from the field, 35.7% from three, and 75.2% from the free throw line. So there's a very obvious baseline for him to be a solid scorer because he averaged 14 points a game as a reclass rookie, mind you. And so if Memphis wants to make him a priority going forward in the future, I think he could make an all-star game at some point in the future. Because again, if he never reclassed, he would have been the consensus #1 pick this draft, which we've all talked about as probably one of the worst draft classes of the modern era, if not all time. And Gigi Jackson would have been the consensus #1 pick. Now I got a couple of guys who we didn't get to see play a lot this year that I think are very, very intriguing for the future. The first guy on that list is Jarace Walker, the #8 pick to the Indiana Pacers. We didn't get to see much of him this year, and a lot of people are going to be mad at Rick Carlisle for that because originally he was someone who was supposed to be an instant impact guy, right? But we didn't get to see much of him, so he's kind of completely flown under the radar. But if you were really paying attention to what he was doing in the G League, where he spent pretty much the entire season, he was excellent, and I think there's a lot of potential for Jarace Walker. In the G League, he averaged about 22.6 rebounds, 4 assists, shot fairly well, 48% of the field, 38% from three, like 79% from the free throw line, I think. I think I see the long-term plan that the Pacers and Rick Carlisle might have for him. If you think about what Jarace Walker probably would have done this year as a rookie, he's probably just a run and dunk, makes some passes, try and spot up, but that kind of limits him. And I think the long-term plan they have is to make him a ball handler, kind of like Pascal Siakam. Siakam, I don't know how long he's going to be in Indiana, but if we're really thinking long term, they put Jarace Walker in the G League so that he could develop as a ball handler and kind of work on being a shot creator as well as a passer. And so, like I said, he averaged 4 assists a game as a forward, and he was a primary ball handler in pretty much majority of the G League season. If that works out in the NBA, we could be seeing like a very, very dynamic athlete who's a playmaker, a shot creator. Like that's a top 30, top 20 player in the league. That's a legitimate star caliber player. And so if that works out and these reps are really what made the difference for Jarace Walker, that's going to be a massive long-term swing that ends up working out for the Pacers. The next guy on this list of potential future long-term guys is Kobe Buffkin of the Atlanta Hawks. He was the #15 pick from Michigan. Unfortunately, playing behind not just Trae Young, but also DeJounte Murray, who was a triple-double threat and an all-star in San Antonio, it's going to be hard for him to get minutes. But in the G League, he averaged 24 points a game, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists on 44% from the field and 36% from three and 83% from the free throw line. Like, the things that Kobe Buffkin is good at, he's really good at. Like, he has great rim finishing. Like, in college, that was one thing that got him drafted so highly, was that he shot like 70% at the rim. And these weren't just like open shots. They were like contested, physical, like he was bodying up and finishing up and around guys. It was incredible. On top of being a solid shooter and shot creator, Kobe Buffkin has a lot of potential to be the future point guard for the Hawks. They have a lottery pick this year. I hope they don't use it on a guard. It feels like Trae Young is out the door. DeJounte Murray's probably going to be gone too. So hopefully they can tank and start looking towards the future and make sure that Kobe Buffkin is going to be one of those guys, because I really think he's also got some high-end potential. Like, there's a lot of potential all-stars in this draft. We're seeing upwards of maybe like 10 guys who could make an all-star game, as well as a few Hall of Famers. Kobe Buffkin could be a long-term guy who this year obviously spent a lot of time in the G League. Next year, depending on who gets moved, probably also going to spend some time in the G League. But by year 3, he could be a starting caliber guy and shocking people. I think sometime within his early contract, he's going to be a most improved candidate at some point, because it's going to be a very sudden breakout as soon as somebody's gone. Kobe Buffkin's the next guy I have on that list. The last guy that I'm going to talk about today is someone who I've been holding stock for, or I've been holding his stock for a while, and that's Nick Smith Jr. from the Charlotte Hornets. He was the 27th pick to the Charlotte Hornets out of Arkansas. He was the #1 player in the high school class of 2022. He had a really rough year at Arkansas, battling a lot of injuries, couldn't get any rhythm going, and then when he came back, it was like the middle of SEC play, which is the best conference in the NCAA, so that's always going to be rough. He had enough showing to get him drafted in the first round, thankfully. I still thought he should have been a lottery pick because there's a lot of potential there. I think a big problem that people had was they wanted him to be a point guard when honestly he's just a pure shooting guard in pretty much every way. He played a surprising amount for the Hornets this year. Played 51 games, averaged about 6 points, 1.5 rebounds, 1.5 assists. He shot like 39% from the field, but he shot 40% from three and like 85% from the free throw line. So there's still potential for him. He played 4 games in the G League, averaging 17, 3, and 4, which still isn't great. He shot 40% from three. There's still a lot to like, and I really think that him paired with LaMelo and Brandon Miller, I think he can be the starting guy for them for the foreseeable future. I know they're probably going to be looking for someone in this next draft, but I think he's the guy for them, honestly. But that's going to do it for my rookie recap. A little bit unconventional. I talked about some guys that most people really aren't even thinking about. And so I think it's good to be able to shed light on these lesser known players. So I do want to thank you guys for taking your time to listen to me talk for however long it's been. The growth that we've had on this channel has already been pretty great to see. You know, the last video was the first one to get 1,000 views, and I'm really happy about that. I'm really excited and thankful for all the friends and people who follow me, helping grow this channel. You know, this is something I really enjoy, and I'm glad I get to share, you know, my thoughts, and I'm glad people are interested and want to listen and like it. But with that being said, if you have any thoughts or disagreements, maybe, you know, make sure to leave them in the comment section, share this with your friends, and make sure you subscribe, leave a like. Really thankful for you guys. I'll see you next video.